First, we're going to set up the scene, and there are two things we need to do to accomplish this. Number one is we need to create the navigation mesh. So, to do this, we go to Window, Navigation, and then navigate to the Bake tab. After you've changed the settings to what you want, you just hit Bake, and the navigation mesh should appear. Note that only objects that are marked static in the inspector will be part of the navigation mesh. Next, we need to add a Paragon AI controller to our scene. So to store this controller, we're going to create an empty game object. I'm just going to call it controller. And we need to go to Paragon AI C#, AI behavior scripts, and add the controller script to our object. And we also need to change the layer mask so that covers all of our level parts, and this is so that our agents can't see through the level. Next, we're going to start working on our agent. So by this point, your model should be fully completed and textured, and you should also have already created a ragdoll, either using the built-in Unity wizard or by manually adding colliders and joints. You do not need to add any special scripts to these objects, but it is important where they're located and in what direction they're facing. You're going to need to make the eye object a child of your agent's head, and you need to put it in the same position as their eyes. Next, you need to make sure that the blue arrow, the forward vector, is pointing in the direction of their vision. We're going to mark the bullet spawn in a similar manner. So we're going to create an empty game object, and this time we're going to have to make it a child of the gun. And again, you move it to the spot where the bullets would be created, and you make it so it's facing directly forward. Now we can start preparing our agent to use animations. And by this point, you should have already created all your animations in a separate program, but we are going to have to make a mask in Unity. And the purpose of this mask is to separate the upper body and the lower body animations so that we can have a firing animation or reloading animation all while the agent is running or crouching. So to do this, you create a new avatar mask. And you can use either a humanoid or generic rig. It doesn't really matter which. You don't have to do both. But the important thing is that you only include the upper body as part of your mask. So I just prepared a humanoid rig up here, and now I am making a generic rig in case you don't want to use the Unity humanoid system. Next, we need to create an animation controller that will let us quickly blend from one animation to another. This is normally a very tedious process, but Paragon AI has a wizard that greatly speeds it up. So to do this, we need to go to Assets, Create, Paragon AI Animation Controller. And so once you've done filling out all the animations you can, you click Create New Animation Controller, and it will appear here. So next, we're going to have to apply our mask to the controller. So to do this, we have to double click on the controller until it opens up, and click on the gear on the upper body layer. We are going to apply our mask to this controller and make sure the blending is set to override and the weight should be 1. And finally, we can put everything together and create our agent. So to do this, we go to Game Object, 3D Object, Paragon AI Agent. Agent name will be the name of the object that holds your agent. Now, this doesn't have to be any object that's already in the scene. It will be a new object that's created by the wizard. Model root object is the object that holds your ragdoll. Bone to attach target to is where other Paragon AI agents will fire at if this is their enemy. So I want the other agent to fire somewhere around the upper spine, so I will choose spine 3. Spine bone to rotate is the bone that your agent will rotate to aim the gun at their target. So for a quick demonstration, you can see that if I choose spine 2, the agent will rotate like this and left and right in order to point the gun at their target. Eye transform is the eye object that we made earlier, which marks the direction and position of your agent's vision. Team number and enemy team number are used to mark which targets are allies and which targets are enemies. If you want to add more teams later, you can do so after you've already created the AI, but usually just the 1-0 is fine for an enemy shooting at a player. Bullet spawn is the bullet spawn object we created earlier, which again marks the position and the firing vector of the gun. Bullet object is the object that will be created at the bullet spawn position whenever the agent wants to fire the gun. Paragon AI comes with some default bullets which you can use if you don't want to make your own. Bullet sound is the audio clip that will be played whenever the agent fires a bullet. And now we get to hitboxes. Now, the wizard will recognize all colliders on the ragdoll as a hitbox, and it will change their tag to whatever the hitbox tag value is. Normal hitbox multiplier is what incoming damage to most hitboxes will be multiplied by. So, for example, if this value is 2, and the agent takes a bullet containing 3 damage, then the health will be decreased by 6. Next we have the head hitbox multiplier, and this will be the multiplier for any sphere colliders on the ragdoll. And finally, animation avatar is an asset that is generated automatically whenever you import your model to Unity. And once you have filled out all of the fields, you can go ahead and click Create New AI. So now we're going to give the agent something to shoot at. So I'm going to go ahead and use this exploding barrel over here, but you can use whatever you want, such as a player. Now, making the AI shoot at something is very simple. All you have to do is go to the object and apply a target script to it. Now, you're going to have to make sure that under Show Team Parameters, the My Team ID value corresponds to one of the enemy teams of your agent. In this case, it's 0, which happens to be an enemy team, so we don't have to change anything. And now, if I run the game, we should see our agent fire at the barrel and destroy it. And there we go.